Welcome, obviously. Let's bring it up to morning as a new day dawns on our space program, because if you remember, last time we got the nuclear engines, which should give us just a hilarious amount of Delta V. What do we have here, though? We have some no fucking around rockets for getting off the ground. Some no fucking around fuel tanks to run them. So we were deciding on what to do with the rest of this 800 I have. Well, actually, we could go scanning tech and then upgrade, and then we'd get access to this one, which would give us the ability to mine fuel on other planets, and that would be really neat. But I also think that we probably need a rover. I think in order to continue our science adventures, we'll want to get a rover. So we've got a fuel cell here, which replaces the solar-powered batteries. Thermal control system, very large battery. I don't think that's a big deal. Gigantor solar arrays. I think these would mostly be for, I think a mining base might need this much power, and things that are away from the sun would need to draw that much more solar energy. But I do like this field science, because then we can build a rover and try to land a rover on Minmus or the moon. Give it a rover arm. So I'm going to take this. And then, we could take the satellite telescope, and then that lets us scan for asteroids. That also gives us access to the orbital scanners, which sets us up for mining. Well, we can get a larger scan. You know what? Let's do that. Some more intelligent probe cores might be nice, because I think before we send up Mandaduna, we'll send a satellite. Because all our satellites so far have been payloads on manned rockets. I think. Maybe, no, I think the Fleming was maybe a probe core. Yeah, actuator's cool, but we don't really use robotic parts. So I think we're going to continue along this way, down just the pure science track. So very soon we'll gain the ability to mine, which I don't think we'll need, but we could set up a mining operation at Gosling Station. So let's take the scanning tech. That'll give us access to the medium scanning arm. The fluid spectrovariometer, which I think only works if the planet has an atmosphere. And then we get the survey scanner, which we could mount that on Gosling Station along with the surface scanning module. Oh no, wait, I guess you'd run this on the ground. Yep, you would put this on the ground, so we'd want to put a station on Minmus that Gosling flies over. Regardless, we're taking this node. So we'll have to hit up a couple more Minmus biomes. But for now, we get to try and build a little rover. So there it is, but we got some real wheels now. See, this can be stowed, which is, I'm curious to see what it looks like. What does that look like? Start retracted. Okay, those are fucking massive. We don't need those ones. Let's just try to make a little tiny one. Symmetry's wrong. Because see, the other side, it's flipped. How do I remove you from symmetry? Okay. Okay, that backfired. His wheels aren't going to be centered, which is a little frustrating. This thing does look massive, which is a little worrying. I might be mistaken though. The tires might just seem big. Where's the command seat? This is the size of a Kerbal. Alright, it's not too tiny. Alright, that's positioned wrong. What a weird snap, like just put it off to the side. So yeah, he would sit on that and drive around on the surface. And then we can give it some power. It's going to be a real ugly thing. Just don't look behind you and you won't get blinded. And then we'll just mount the science suite on the side. Holy shit, that thing's fucking massive. I'm not even confident this thing will work on the moon. I like that though, it kind of looks like it's got a jet engine. Hey there. So we got this. Yeah, we're trying to make a rover for, well, not necessarily the moon, but one of the moons, the lighter moon. Ooh, that reminds me, the problem with Minmus is the gravity is so low, we need to put thrusters so we can exert force if we jump off too sweet of a jump and go into space. Yeah, getting that thing to actually scan things without cracking my skull open is going to be a treat. I suppose we can just back into it here, right? So yeah, if we find something of interest, we'd back into it so the scanner has better clearance. Then the science suite goes on this side because it's probably a little off center. And then, I mean, we could make the bumper a goo container, but we probably want to actually make the bumper some RCS. What's my center of mass here? Center of mass is right there. Yeah, we are building a science mobile. I have high hopes. As for actually getting this thing to Minmus, that'll be a treat. But we can send it down in something real ugly, because this never needs to come back up. So we can pretty much just fucking crash this and then have Gosling send its lander down to rendezvous. Well, that's a problem. That's a problem for later, though. Let's get this out of the way. Now that I think about it, we can probably just put all the... Like, he would just jump off and check everything and then hop back on. Thermometer's upside down. Probably want to address that. Okay, that's everything we need. That looks weird. I'm a little concerned about that one tank being in the shadow realm. It's because there was 2 on you. Alright, center of mass is right there. So we probably just put an RCS thruster right there. I mean, if I'm careful, I could probably just center one. But you know what? So it's not quite center of mass, but we just need to exert force from this upper thruster to push us back down. And there you go. This is what we use to get science on Minmus. I mean, you could use this on any planetary body, really. It doesn't have a solar panel, and it doesn't have a battery, which it has a lot of charge, but I think we'll want a little bit more charge. Hide the battery right there. And then, right, a solar panel to actually fill it up. We'll just do a 1x6. Yeah, fuck. So if we do this, the solar panel will always be deployed. That's something else, huh? Just because you called it that, we'll call it the Science Mobile 5000. Sir, we'll call it the Science Mobile 20,000 because that's how much money it costs. Sorry, I changed my mind again. We're going to call it Science 21,000. Just a joke that only I get. So I'm starting these retracted because I want to make sure that these actually deploy even though they clip. This kind of looks like a little boat almost. All right, retract it, and then we'll put Jebediah on it. He deserves a little adventure. And we'll launch in the desert. It's like the moon. Go. You ever seen that movie Capricorn 1, O.J. Simpson? Now, the only thing we have to be careful of is that I'm pointing the right way or all our controls are wrong. Holy shit, he looks decadent up there in his science throne. What the hell is that? Is there a runway out here too? Cool. All right. Open the wheels. Okay, that works. That's perfect. All right, it is going backwards. What if we do this? Control it from the wheel. There we go. If I control it from the chair, it's proper. No, the wheels are kind of doing their own fucking thing. Not a problem, not a problem. And if we're careful, we can actually find, I think, a tree. The battery scrapes along the ground. That concerns me. A baobab tree, and we'll be able to use our rover arm on it. But he is doing pretty good. I feel I should maybe put some headlights on this. Christ, with this fucking solar panel, we just look like a Mad Max mobile. Alright, zoom out, try to find us a tree to scan. Oh, right, the desert. I see how there's a bit of a snag in my plan here. We're making great time, though. All right, now we got a bit of a problem. What was that? Oh, there's the other monopropellant. All right, so the monopropellant's not in a good space. Wasn't the wheel, it was just the monopropellant tank dragged along the ground for too long and exploded, which we don't use a monopropellant here on Earth. Why doesn't he have... Jesus Christ. Fine. Equip helmet. This is not space. We're just in the desert. We're just on Earth. We own a launch pad in the desert, and we also own a launch pad up near the tundra. Whoop, there goes something else. A battery. Who needed it? Who needed electricity anyways, right? I want to say that's mostly just our speed, our impact tolerance bumping into the ground. All right, while this was fun, I think there is actually something we can scan right near the Boomerang launch site. So revert to the vehicle assembly. We need more clearance on these wheels, which is actually pretty simple. Whoops, it's 3. That should give us enough clearance to not explode, or actually the monopropellant tank might have just been rubbing up against the wheels themselves, and I don't like that. That concerns me greatly. Okay, we've got that, and I want to give it some lights. Strong beam, probably just extra wide, low power. There's room to put those on the side. Actually, let's fucking Gotti. Let's use these guys, which I think are smaller. Kind of. That's much more snug. Alright, we should be able to do a nighttime test with this. Kind of looks like Johnny 5 if he turned into a car in a Saturday morning cartoon. Right, Boomerang, we should be able to test out our scanning arm. I didn't put any wind in that chair, did I? Hopefully it remembered that part. It did, okay. Deploy the wheels. Yeah, we have much better ground clearance now. And it's nighttime, so beep beep. Slight problem. Ugh. Alright, we gotta be very careful with the turns apparently on this kid. Can I put limiters on the wheels? Traction control. I can give it a lot of traction control, actually. Motor, I don't know what this means. I can disable steering on the rear wheels. Right, like a car. Steering enabled. That's probably why it's so responsive. Also welcome. It's weird, am I not controlling it from here? Brakes? Okay. And then the lights. Look at that. Alright, we're on the hunt for something to scan. I don't see anything. Maybe I should have actually just launched from the Space Center. Light B. Oh, I can change the color of them. Neat. I guess we'll give him the helmet, but if he falls off, it's probably because the rover's fucked. Huh, that helmet weighs a little too much. Made the rover a bit top heavy. I mean, I like the rover so far. It's got everything we need. So it has all the form. Does it have the function? I swore I saw something, though, the last time we launched. It's very tricky to turn this, though. Faster than light, no left or right. See if we can take this off any sick jumps. I'm going to quick save it, though. I can't quick save while I'm moving. Let's hit the brakes and make sure we don't flip over. Okay, good wheel traction. Battery drain's actually very reasonable as well. And if this thing ever dies on you, you just wait until daytime as long as the solar panel's out and it'll refill. I cannot see anything for shit to scan, but I guess it shouldn't be a surprise that there's nothing near the Space Center. No, that's not right. Didn't I see something right outside the Space Center? Let's go back. Let's just do the regular one. Yeah, I thought I saw something like over here. There it is. You see it? Let's go. Full speed. Get that solar power up. Boop, 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 boop. Look at that. Guess it does give him a massive blind side. Not too terrible. Careful. Didn't account for that rickety runway that I never invest money in. Hopefully it's something I can scan and not just a flag or something. Now I have to remember when we go back and we finalize this design is I have to put the RCS thrusters back on it. Looks a little hilly up ahead. Gonna let go of the throttle here. Kind of looks like a building. A little worried here. Definitely just a monolith bearing the mark of the company that made it. Right, I guess I underestimated how difficult it would be to back this thing into stuff. Alright, brake. And I cannot scan this. But presumably this is what we would do, is you back up into it and fire the rover arm. Wanna hop out for me there, fella? Oof. Bit of a drop. Surface sample. Kerbal shores. You take a sample of the soil, it's very muddy and sandy. Seismic scan can only be controlled by a scientist. Oh, well, fuck me. Jesus. Hang on, hang on. All aboard. There we go. Log this. Log all this stuff. Temperature and pressure readings suggest today is as good a time for flying as any. Wonderful. Then we'll do an EVA report. Alright, I guess we just go back home. observe some mystery goo. Can I make helicopters? The parts are in the game. I have no idea how to control them because you saw me try to fly a regular plane. Have I binding experiments to an action button? Can you bind experiments to a button? That's a game changer. I almost wonder if I should put the battery up on the side, because that'll just give us even more clearance. I'm struggling to think of a time when this isn't enough clearance, though. But I'm sure it might come up on another planetary body. I really wish I could have used the scanner on one of the trees, but it's not in the cards. So you'd want to put a scientist in charge of this thing, and then he would drive it off from your landing site. Slow it down here, please. Don't want to wipe out on the runway. Yeah, that runway could use a repaving. Okay, and I think packed up this thing isn't that much bigger than a lander. We earned 32 science, which only brings us up to 280. Yeah, there's some okay stuff at the 300 tier, but I don't really think we need it. Mostly wanted the mining stuff, because that's just neat. I've never done mining either, which I'm sure you can imagine, since getting Gosling Station up was a monumental achievement for me. What do we got in the contracts? You're planting another flag on Minmus. Well, I am going there. Ferry some tourists to their destination. How many? 4. You want to go to the moon. You want to go to the moon. You want to orbit Kerbal. This just gives me a lot of reputation if I pull it off. Fly by the moon, orbit around the moon. I guess I get money from all the individuals. I mean, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'd have to go up in a hitchhiker, which we learned is a little finicky. So the moon needs an orbital station and a flag and a satellite, and then Minmus just needs a flag. I do like the Science 21,000 though. Let's compare it to a lander can Mark II. It's actually about it could almost fit inside a lander can if you really wanted to. So this is a wonderful size for a rover. Wow. Now the only thing is, can this thing could we remote control a rocket with this? Because what I would want to do is we would take a ship, like a Greyhound, and just put this on top of it. And then it would go down and land on Minmus by itself. But the question is this thing smart enough to land on Minmus? Because I don't know. I don't know if this thing has enough pilot controls. Anyways, action groups. Actually, sorry, let's double check. Save and continue. Which way is forward? The other way. I have it backwards. The pilot seat is on the bumper, the back bumper. Yeah, what was it? Was it? Yeah, I have to max out my my VAB, which would make me very poor. I mean, our space program's been doing well, but we're not exactly rich. Gosling Station didn't make us that much money. We mostly broke even on it, I think. So yeah, let's strap what, like a Toei launcher, McDonald launcher. So maybe I do want to put the battery on the back, because then this gives us access to like a docking port or decoupler on the bottom. But it's a fucking way too... You know what? I don't think we even need a battery. With a solar panel, do you think 100... I think 120 is enough to control a rover. Unless this draws power. I don't think so. And then we could give it a... It just needs a junior, really. Like, just enough to, let's fucking... Just enough to hold a seal with its tug. Give me a fuel adapter here. So yeah, you would land this thing, and then the actually, hang on, where's my other adapter? Just give it something like this might be enough to deorbit Minmus. So you would go, that's way too big. This is still pretty bulky. How much delta is this? $2,900, which is way too fucking much. Yeah, that alone should be enough to land it on Minmus. 1,600. Yeah, it's 180. We need 180 to get down from Gosling Station. Do I have something even smaller, maybe? Like an ant? No, I have a feeling anything smaller than a Terrier might not have enough thrust to do a suicide burn. Because this thing does need to land very properly. I always forget how little clearance these fucking legs have. Start retracted. And then I think it might need like a reaction wheel and shit. Yeah, because they said the rover has no SAS stuff. It's a big fucker. And then it shouldn't need an ERCS. What? Stop that. I would like this to be centered so that it doesn't clip through the wheels. Oh, would you fucking stop? It's a little better. So yeah, so then this thing, hold Alt to ignore surface mounting. Oh. So yeah, this would land on Minmus, and then this guy, the gravity's so low as we could just RCS, do a little boost up and then forward and then bring it down. And that's kind of neat. It looks like it's actually pulling it right from the tank. I mean, that's not how they work, but... Okay. This thing's styling. I'll give it that. This thing still has 1400 delta. You know, I feel like I just want to put a really small fuel tank on it, but I don't think it gets any smaller than this. I lied. I already lied. Shit, symmetry was wrong. Okay, this thing has 800. Still more than enough to land on Minmus. Actually, the main reason it's tall is because of this guy, but we need it to control the thing. Like, that's a very compact lander for a rover. I mean, ideally, you would do something like you'd put it in a storage bay attached to the lander, then it would drive out from the bottom, which would be cool. But that would make the lander very heavy. Yeah, like, look at that. I think, yeah, I think it would fit in this with retracted wheels. Look at this guy. Wouldn't quite fit. It almost fits, though. That's neat. You know what? This is so tiny, I might just try to cheat and just clip the other one inside. Yeah, I really want to put this in. This might work. I'm not sure who you're attached to, though. That kind of works. Okay, still got a bunch of Delta V, still very tiny. Alright, so it's got power, it's got the thrusters. So now we just need to send this thing to Minmus. So I think a good maiden voyage for this thing would be we land just this on Minmus, and then we try to bring the lander down near it. Which, with the gravity and spin of Minmus, I think it's very easy to land precisely. Yeah, 800. 800 delta V in a vacuum? Does it get even smaller, though? Because if I can get something even smaller... You know what there is? There is a smaller fuel tank. I can't afford it. But I'll show you. It's that donut one. The donut one would be perfect for this. Oh shit, there's the donut. I can't afford it. It's got some little baby rockets. Perfect for this sort of use. We're buying this. Because we just need like 200, 250 on this for wiggle room. Because I think we'll have a hard time burning this thing efficiently. Okay, you get down here. I want the donut. Yeah, look at the size of that thing. I don't need the legs? You might be right. You might be right. Because if I come in... I guess if I come in slow enough and the thing's so compact it won't tip over, the Terrier has the impact tolerance. I just like the aesthetics of the lander legs personally. That's just me. Holy shit, this is actually more because it's so light. There, 500. This alone is enough to get us to Minmus. See? Shame I can't put a shroud on this. But there, just this little thing is enough to bring down the rover, and then he's off. The only thing is I really wish I could just turn this whole thing around. I guess it doesn't matter. Because once the Kerbal's on it, he controls it from there. That is a hilariously small ship. It actually costs more, but I think we maybe added the rover and stuff since I named it. No, it's a very cheap tank. I wanted to see what it looked like with the legs. It might... Now that our ship is so small, we'll start seeing like very big changes in our Delta V though. This, and then this. And then it had to be a 4 because of the wheel symmetry. I mean, this is sharp. This is a sharp looking ship. And yeah, it's just still more than enough delta, so I think just for the looks. We'll bring the legs. Man, look at that tiny little rascal. Put this guy back on the launch pad. Oh man, it took an hour. It took an hour just to design one ship. Alright, here we go. Gravity's a little too high, it can't lift us up. Alright, and then we undock. Alright, we can't flip it over because of the gravity. But I've got a plan. It looks like it did decouple properly, though. Careful, careful, careful. Alright, we're free. It'll be a little bit smoother when there's no gravity, but that's how we get off, and then... Extend the solar panel. Lights on. Yeah, we've got a trashy battery right now is the only problem. And then, yeah, this thing might break from impact damage, but we don't need it once we decouple from the lander. I'm not noticing any major flaws with this vessel. I think this guy's ready to go to Minmus. Hey, Justin. We just finished our rover prototype. I mean, ideally, whoops. All right, don't bump into shit. That's just held on with fucking, not even wood glue. Classroom paste. Jeb's blank stare. He was trapped in Gosling Station for like 2 months. So he's seen some shit. Yeah, I really like this little fella. And now we have to completely remake the ship we send to Gosling Station now that we have the nuclear powered engine, because the nuclear powered engine, freakishly efficient, but it doesn't require oxidizer. So if we take oxidizer to refuel Gosling Station, because the lander still uses oxidizer, is we'll get less fuel efficiency. But the fuel efficiency, if we don't bring oxidizer, is just fucking insane, because you basically have to bring twice as much fuel, because the mix, I think, is 1-for-1 of oxidizer and liquid. Alright, so this is going to be the payload on top of a manned ship we send to Gosling. Okay, so first things first is we want a decoupler here, a little baby one. And then, I mean, do we need to send a command pod? We might as well use the command pod. It's fucking heavy though. I don't know. I mean, we could just send a lander can. That thing's fucking feather light. Trash torque though, right? Yeah, 3 torque. Not a bad little thing to transmit. Science experiments. Crew report, okay. It's also fairly cheap. Yeah, it's a fraction of the weight and a fraction of the cost. And this is just like a, you know, we're not doing a crew transfer, so this is like a supply run. Doesn't need a large crew complement. In fact, he doesn't need anything scientific on this. He can take a little monopropellant, but I don't think Gosling needs a refuel, so he doesn't even need that. He just needs a heat shield for when he comes back. And some parachutes. I think even one radial's enough, but I'm going to give him 2 radials and a drogue like always. You know what? The drogue's unnecessary. Let's just give him 2 radials. He'll be snug as a bug on his way home. You know what? We probably should have the flag so people know how great our country is. So we'll put the flag back on there. Okay. Then another decoupler. And then this should be a hilariously efficient transfer stage to get us from Kerbal orbit to Minmus. Now the thing is the nuclear engine is very efficient, but it's very weak. So if we have to circularize our burn with it, we might mess it up and come back down. So we have to make sure that our ascent stage can circularize us. Like, look at this. We'll just take this. Let's upgrade that decoupler, because I think the landing can is misleading about what its size is. Not a 25, try an 18. A decoupler that's old enough to drink. There we go. Okay, so right now our delta V in a vacuum is 133. And then watch this. It's 349, but I guess I didn't need decoupler for that part. Look at that. We actually gained thrust by taking out the fuel because we don't use oxidizer. And then let's see if I have something that's just liquid fuel. I should have something that's strictly meant for the nerve engine. There it is, liquid fuel fuselage. Like, that's almost where we were, wasn't it? No, it wasn't. I'm dumb. There we go. Look at that. We actually gained delta V there, I think. 482? Yep. Look at that. $216, 482. Double the thrust power. Or flying through space potential, whatever you want to call it. The only downside is even if it's very fuel efficient, it's still fucking very expensive to get there. Yeah. It's just crazy how much delta V you can gain without the oxidizer, but we did want to send oxidizer there to refuel the lander. Because the lander's actually empty right now. So I think we'll probably still send up fuel with oxidizer because we are trying to refuel our lander. But so to land at Gosling Station, we need 3,400. This is what our ascent stage should give us, the 3,400. So we need the 1270 plus 160, and then enough to return. So 1,500 there, and then, I don't know, like 200 or 300 to come back, so like 1,800. We need 1,800 on this nerve stage, we'll say. So what if I did something like this, which adds a little too much structural mass, but I just really like the look of the decouplers sealing each other off again. There's just something about it that I like. Okay, could you you know damn well what I'm trying to do here, Kerbal. Stop it. There. There. That right there is almost enough to get us to Minmus. That's one way, though. Like, look at how tiny this thing is compared to the things we normally have to use to go to Minmus and back. So if we repeat that, the thing about the Nerve 2 is the engine itself is quite heavy, so the heavier a ship gets, the more worth it is for the Nerve. Which is the name of the engine. 1652, so that's enough to get to Minmus. Just this. And then this thing, it doesn't need to dock. This one in particular doesn't need to dock if we're just dropping off the lander, now that I think about it. We can design a refueler later, because this guy is adding a little more mass than we need, and he's making... The shape is weird. This doesn't need to be a reusable ship. This can be a one-off. So if I gave it one more round of 3... that would be overkill. So then we'd be very safe. Because while these are great, they're very long burns. So there might be some user error with this. So I'd like a nice window of, holy shit, that's more than actually, that should be enough for a round trip, right? 2,000? Especially if, let's decouple this guy because we'll get some extra delta on the way back. Yeah, we gain 300 delta V when the lander's not attached to us. So actually that alone should almost be enough to bring us back. That's interesting. So he's a little tall is the problem with the Nerve. You don't really get wide liquid fuel tanks just yet. I think later on you do, especially if you do with like the Mark II shuttle parts. But we didn't go that way because those are considered jet parts. But I'm pretty sure this guy can bring us home. And then once we're on our way in, we can do a very aggressive orbit because it's just a little guy with a heat shield and a parachute, so we can pretty much just fly in like a bullet. I will give him a solar panel, though, just so there's no accidents on our approach. And you know what, just to save a little money, because it's only an extra $60 to give it a shroud, we'll give it a little shroud. Actually, you know what, I think even with the shroud it might burn off. But we're only out like $600. Only $600, just one of the guys in the fucking bay down here making it. $600 is my fucking rent, man. Just designed so far tonight. Yep, we've just been in the hangar testing out this rover, Justin. Hopefully we can do everything right in the planning stage so we don't redo the launch too many times. But I have a feeling, oh, we are going to redo the launch, because if I don't do the gravity turn perfectly, we don't want, basically... we don't want to have to use this engine to circularize our orbit because it's not strong enough. And another thing I learned, I forget who I was watching. I was watching a guy the other day play Kerbal, and he said that where the reaction wheel is on the ship determines where the torque comes from. So my ships might be unwieldy because my RCS stuff is sorry, I always call it RCS. My inline stabilizers and reaction wheels, they're always near the top, so all the torque's coming from the top. So maybe if I put some in the middle and the bottom, I'll have a little more control. Maybe not, though. And then we might also have problems with fuel not flowing through them. But 2,000, pretty sure this thing can get us to the Minmus and back, which is what we want. Okay. Who's going to fly this? Jebediah for sure. And then we could drop, I mean, we could do a crew transfer. Oh, never mind. That's the external command seat. Nobody else goes on this ship. Yeah, so we're not doing a dock, so I don't need RCS on this part. Because if we have enough inline control, this thing's so weak, if we like put a limiter on this, this will basically be an RCS thruster. So we don't need to dock with Gosling Station, but we need to get relatively close, most of the inclination, just so that when the lander tries to meet up with it, you're kind of near it. And then I guess actually one last thing is this guy should have a transmitter, because I think he might not be able to show up on the map and communicate with Gosling Station once he's down on the surface. So he shouldn't need a relay, but it would be cool if we gave him one, right? That would allow him to communicate with Gosling Station, presumably our whole satellite network, but I think just this. This should give us enough power to reach Gosling from the surface, and then once you hit Gosling, you have access to our whole satellite network. So that's the whole rover once it's deployed. It's got a bit of a weird tilt to it, but I realized we could just put a tilt on it anyways, like a little RC car. Or kind of like the DeLorean in Back to the Future. Yeah, I like it. I really like this guy. I really hope we can get him to Minmus. Jeb's flying it. This is our get to Minmus stage. So now we just need to get into Kerbal orbit stage, which I think to preserve our nuke is we're going to go total overkill on that part. Okay, let's get some real big boys. Actually, the McDonald launcher. Alone probably might not be enough. Maybe actually. No, wait, sorry, we're calculating it from sea level here. Which, it's always hard to calculate it from, so how would you even determine? Like, would I go control from here? 88 miles per hour is only 39.34 meters per second. Well, you learn something new every day. This is the tricky part, is I have to figure out what the delta V is of this guy. I suppose I can just attach a probe to it. Well, like the booster that gets us in orbit is always going to make every ship big, but once we're actually in space, it's pretty tiny. Okay. That, I mean, you know, maybe not, but as Audio Garden was saying, is, oh yeah, we could fucking really get the thrust on this. He said even like 1.4 would be enough. And I'm very tempted to test his theory. I mean, we can do some dry runs with this thing. Because again, basically we just need to circularize our orbit before we dump this stage. So yeah, you decouple. This thing probably needs a fairing now that I think about it. Let's just put a fairing over the whole space stage. I am a little concerned about how heavy it's going to make this ship, but that's weird. Can you not go any higher? There you go. Surface is 1.4. Okay, so maybe we'll get a little extra power out of this. So there it is, the Science 21,000 rover delivery system. Bit of a mouthful, but you know, it impressed the senators. We got the tax dollars given to us. Again, this doesn't need RCS thrusters because we're not really doing any complicated maneuvers here. We just need to get 2 Minmus in an orbit around the inclination of Gosling Station, then we just drop this kit on the surface. Okay, at sea level, our delta V is 5,000, which should be... So, it's 3,400 to circularize, and then we just have to hope that this goes up accordingly. Ah, this might not be enough to circularize, actually. I really don't want to burn any of this nuke engine because it's so slow. This might actually not give us any bonus thrust, but let's try. Did that give us any? 3,300? Gave us some. This might be over-engineering it, though, adding this much fuel. This is 3,495, though, at sea level. And Jeb is my best pilot, which I'm going to want because this is a new type of ship. He can compensate for any problems by, you know, locking on a prograde ship very quickly. Okay. Now it's very tall. I almost wonder if I should have stacked just a bunch of the oranges side by side, but oh well. Oh well. Science 21,000. I think we have some overkill delta V, but it looks like I did calculate it all properly. Alright, so hang on. The fairing does not go off right away. First we launch, and then we decouple. Piloting the drone from the little box. So, yeah. I think the chairs themselves let you interact with everything they're attached to, but until the Kerbal gets in, this the box does drive itself. Now, do you think it's safe to land this thing with the Kerbal in the seat? Or do you think I should send a Kerbal down after we land it remotely? Not sure if the I'm not sure if we'll be able to stay in the seat while in flight. I think so. I've seen people make like wacky planes and like they ride rockets from the launch pad and shit, but yeah, Jeb's driving it from in here. They'll stay in the seat. I might send one of our engineers down with it then, and then he can get picked up later once we refuel the lander. We can worry about that once we're actually there, right? So yeah, and then a vacuum is... It's got a lot of delta V in the vacuum, mostly because of this guy. Why does this guy have so much delta V now? How did I miscalculate this? It's got a hilarious amount. Is he pulling from this? No, what the fuck did I do? Oh shit, I think I was calculating this at sea level is why. So keep this. That seems... that's... I swore I was calculating in the vacuum before. I don't know why this has so much more delta V all of a sudden. There's something I'm missing? Limiter's at 100. Might not even need this, actually. I think we can just do this. Like, that's enough to get us there. Which makes it a lot smaller. I don't know how I missed that. I don't know how I missed all that extra delta. And then now... well, why is this one not showing me its delta now? You have no thrust? Oh, you got a decoupler that shouldn't be. Yeah, I was definitely calculating the nerve at sea level, I think. No, wait, this isn't actually very much, is it? 2100. Because it's like, no, never mind. It's like only 400 to go. Yeah, okay. That should be enough. That should be enough. Gotta stop second guessing myself. It's important to stop second guessing yourself and just launch into space. That's how rocket science works. Don't recalculate anything. This ship's looking a lot more powerful now. You know what? If I was a little more confident in my gravity turns, we could probably get away with just this. 38? You know what? We're going to try that. We're going to try to keep the size down. Someone forgot to carry the one and we almost strapped way more engines on it than we needed to. Well, fuel. I don't want to be responsible for causing some sort of oil crisis back on Kerbal. Those are literally touching the ground. Don't do that just in case. Okay. This should have everything we need to deliver this to Minmus. Very exciting stuff. Save game, launch. It's going to be very slow though, remember, because we did slap on the limiter. Actually, our thruster weight's still really high. That's too low, so let's go with a 63 limiter. It's, well, I mean, is it really a rocket if it doesn't kind of look like a dick? I don't think so. I don't think it is. Do you have all your snacks and shit? There's probably some snacks behind you. You're going to be up here for a while, fella. We are go. Not 100% sure how to do the gravity turn with this lower thrust, though. Do I ever unlock those big launch towers that are like 2 stories? That doesn't really come up. Maybe with mods. You don't really need that to build a rocket in the base game. And our app WAP's going up kind of slow, so let's just have him lock prograde and walk it in. I'm a little concerned we're tipping over too fast. We'll see. Actually, we're catching on fire. That's a good sign that we're going fast enough. It's pretty wide. I think we're fine. I think I have enough fuel to circularize this. Not circularize, but this has to get us into orbit or just into orbit for the nerve to stand a chance. $1,000 left though, and I think it should auto-calculate into a vacuum once we leave the atmosphere, so we'll get an extra boost. Not a bunch. These aren't as good in a vacuum. That's what the nerve interior are for. $17.18. Oh, it didn't recalculate. Maybe we didn't get any. Guess we can blow the fairing now, just so it doesn't mess up our staging. Come on. I think we're going to do it. We're going to circularize with our first booster. Awesome. And we can use the last of this fuel to get our node proper, or ascending. Because that'll also be a relatively expensive burn. 5.3. Man, good stuff. Getting into space with the a properly built ascent was always a problem for me in the older game, but man, now that it calculates your delta V in the VAB, that's incredible. Then we just gotta, well, I mean, we have 700 to spare. I actually think 700 for the, because it's only 300 with the plane change. So we'll even have some of this fuel to use to get us towards Minmus, which actually I don't like that because our burn time will be way off going from 2 twin bores to 1 nerve. Maybe I'll just, I think I might just burn this off, making our orbit huge, and then we'll do Like one orbit, then we'll start fresh with the nerve. I don't like to have engine switches in my maneuvers. See if I burn the right way here. Nope. Oh, that's right. I forgot to put the secondary inline reaction wheel to see if that helped. This is great, though, because now we can use this as a basis for ships to send to Gosling to refuel it for the lander. I mean, there's really only like 1 or 2 more lander missions I want to do, but having the ability to refuel ships there to send to Duna will be wonderful. But I guess for that reason, we only need liquid fuel, wouldn't we? That's not true. We'd want oxidizer if we ever want to take off from Duna. Because I don't think a nerve is strong enough to escape Duna's atmosphere before you'd crash back into it. So we've got our plane change, and then 500 is also a very good chunk of the actual burn to min-miss. This thing actually had a little overkill on it. Probably could have removed one of the tanks. Shave even a little more money off, because I think it's great to get into space, but I think these orange tanks are like thousands of dollars each. It holds 1440 and 1760. 400 is all that's going to power our nerve the rest of the trip. Oh, we actually are at a juice. Okay. Not a problem. Because we have a stable orbit. We have the solar panel deployed. We'll just make the maneuver on our ascending node then. Actually, I forget which one's which now that they've swapped. Yeah, we're actually we get enough solar power here that we don't actually drain it. Wrong way. Just a little sluggish until we ditch this booster. Such a hard time turning. And I mean, 0.07 is the end of the world. We could also correct that with the nerve once we're at min-miss, I think. But on principle, I like to do it before I go. 0-0. That's a min-miss there, so then we'll just make our orbit massive. It's the mud, you're in my way. Then, could I switch my radial? That'll send me off to the sun. Could you get out of my goddamn way, the moon? What am I doing? We're just going to burn off the last of our booster here. Because I don't want to do it in one continuous maneuver, because I'm worried the calculation will get messed up when we switch from our bores to our nerve. Let's try something like this. And then once we're on the nerve, we'll just try to correct it. Did I lose power again? No, we're good. All good in the hood. Oh shit, that's why. That's why I was having such a hard time turning. He was also pointing towards something. Anti-normal. Actually, maybe it is accounting for the nerve. The difference in thrust we'll have. But now we wait. By which I mean, this is a very bad time to lose progress, so we'll call this the... Science 21,000 transfer. The hell is my maneuver node going? Wonder if I'm actually generating thrust just by turning this thing. Well, impulse. Call it whatever you want. Movement. The good thing is we don't need to waste our time orbiting the right way. We just need to be near Gosling Station, inclination, then drop the lander. Man, I wish the lander would work on just liquid fuel, though. It'd save us the trouble of ferrying oxidizer on these nerve ships. Perfect. All right, now we switch over to the nerve. That shroud's been removed. This thing should be a lot more responsive. But it very slow burn now. Actually, what am I doing? We want to make sure the maneuver is actually going to send us there. Oh, there we go. 16 days, not the end of the world, but yeah, 300 burn. Well, I guess we already used a bunch on the twin bores, but we have 2,000 left in this. It's going to take us 300 to intercept. I like it. We had a hard save, so we'll quick save. And then 43 seconds, we burn for 40 seconds. It's when we start going to like other planets where we'll have like 10-minute burns, which concern me, but we know about that time warp where we're allowed to stay thrusted, and I think our PC is powerful enough to handle the calculation. Whoops. Ooh, one thing I forgot about is this thing can actually overheat because it burns for so long. I need to start putting thermal control systems on my ships. One nerve for a minute should be fine, but once you start doing like 3 5-minute burns, I think the nerve can blow itself up without a radiator. Is that too fast or too slow? It's too fast. Wonderful intercept here, though, I think. This is where you have to be a little more careful, though, because we have to make sure we have enough time to bring our apoaps down with our lower thrust. 1,700 delta left, though. And remember, we'll shed a whole bunch of that as we ditch the lander. It's not going to be 5 minutes to correct it. I think we're actually already spinning the right way, too. There's no reason to burn that far away from it. Make it a little more efficient doing it right on the periapse. Burn it 10. We'll burn it 15 seconds, actually, because we're a little bit slower than with the Terrier. But that efficiency, wowie. Looks like there was a moon flyby briefly there, but that's not what I want. I will fly back out into a 15 million kilometer orbit by 15 by 50. Good luck saying that back to mission control, and they don't mishear you. I don't want to keep drifting away from the periapse because it's not as efficient. It's a little time consuming, but you save fuel. There we go. We've been captured by Minmus. We're most of the way there, considering how much fuel we have, because sometimes the mission difficulty is with your resources, but I mean, when you've got this much fuel, you can kind of just brute force the steps. Poor Jeb's been alone up here for 20 days with his little space car. Do mods make this easier? There's autopilot mods and stuff, but I honestly don't find the... Whoops, I was facing the wrong way. I honestly don't find the maneuvers and stuff super complicated once you get the hang of it. "17 by 17, I think is what Gosling is. Yeah, we're even rotating the right way, too. We could actually meet up with them if we wanted to, which I think we will do, because then we can have one of our engineers, if we're careful enough, we can actually have one of our engineers land at Science Pepper Gumdrop and retrofit it. No, never mind. He's solo level. That's why we didn't do it in the first place. He's so low level, that's why we didn't send him down in the first place. But I don't know how we're going to level him up otherwise. He might get some XP just using the rover arm. No, maybe... If we put a scientist on the rover, then he'll be able to reset the modules. But the only module that needs resetting, I guess, is the goo container. So we'll just not use that one. "17 by 17. Look at all this Delta V, 1200. And we've already met up with the station mostly. It's actually very close to intersecting it as well. We have a bit of a node problem though, don't we? Let's correct it now, because the descending node is our intersect. Yeah, I was hoping Let's just do it at the node, then I think we have a pretty close orbit already. Oops, wrong way. Still pretty good intersects here. Zero, zero. Orbit's pretty much the exact same. I think I am going to send an engineer down with this rover, though, just because we have a very good chance of meeting up with the station. Okay, so what am I going to do here? I guess we'll just go to the intersect and then try to kill our velocity. No, I'd kill it at the apex. Oh, yeah, because the engineer can fix parts that break. That is a good call. This one's getting very close. 2 kilometers, 1.8 meters per second. Holy shit, that's quick. I'm decent at maneuvering into rendezvous, thank you. And again, we don't need to dock. We just need to have the engineer spacewalk over. And then the lander will go down with just a pilot to rescue him. Guessing I can just kill my target right now and catch up to it, right? No, that actually increased my distance a little bit. Okay, then we just kill our target. Speed in a moment. Once we get under 100, and the engineer should be able to jump over pretty safely. And then I want to land in the sun because I didn't put lights on the rover on the bottom for the landing. Here she comes. 1,369, and it's going to be even more again when we detach this kid, so we have more than enough Delta V to get home. What a great little ship. Under 100 is when we kill the speed. Okay. Let's get a little bit closer, because why not? Okey-dokey. Just kill our speed at like 20 meters. It's a very leisurely spacewalk for our new guest. I would have preferred a little more visibility on Gosling Station. The lights aren't as, Whoops! Burned a little too close. Now she's spinning. That's fine. Alright, now who's getting off? What are you? Scientist. Juki! Where's the damn... Oh, there she is. It's too dark. Hello, Jeb. Fairly exciting stuff. I am in the seat. All right, and then we'll do a hard save here in case this is a disaster. I have to send him back. Call this Gosling truck stop. All right, then let's just wait until we have some sun on our side. Wow, nice and bright landing. I'm actually kind of close to the Minmus landing flag if I'm careful. Speaking of careful, this landing, because it's actually very fucking hilly on Minmus. Let's wait for this battery to fill up. I was hoping I could pour the battery into the Rove mate, but I can't. Because let me tell you, we do not want this thing dying. I think the Terrier will power it as we descend, but... Oh, that's why. That's why. Wasn't filling up very fast because the solar panel could barely see the sun. I'm going to grab a drink while this fills up, actually. All right, she's filled up. Quick save it here. It's time to go. Is it safe to be floating in space like this? Yes. The gravity on Minmus is low enough that he shouldn't get knocked free from the chair. Alright, this is going to be a very dangerous suicide burn because he lacks the ability to lock prograde. I decoupled the engine. There, now we can actually go. If I was smart, I would have done the burn at our Apo apps, but here we are. Alright, I don't like this. I don't think that's fixing our angle at all here. There. Just want to make sure we're kind of under Gosling so it's easy to catch up to us. Just decouple and burn down. Okay, now I just gotta not fuck up as we come down. Actually, we overburned a little bit, so we're gonna pop out a bit. I want to be here probably. Holy shit! No, 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 no! We're going the wrong way. Oops. Why am I still pointing weird? It is fucking hilly down there, though. Altimeter. Oh, fuck, we're a lot closer than I thought. I'm not going to do a suicide burn here because I have no pilot control. Still drifting for a while here. Oh shit, this is actually very bad. What the hell is going on? My speed keeps going up. What the fuck? I have like no delta V now because I burned wrong several times. Why is this ground? My nav ball's all weird. Well, we're dead. Nav ball fucking lied to me. I think it's because I was controlling it from the chair when I should have been controlling it from... Holy shit, that was a good time to quick load. I think I shouldn't control it from the Rove Mate, or maybe the Rove Mate's upside down. Slope messing with the orientation? You might be right. Man, wasn't paying attention to the way I spin again. We could have just burned right there at our apoaps. I really regret not putting a pilot on this, but all my missions are complicated by the fact that I have to bring a pilot. I need to get a little bit better manual control here. All right, now we're going to come down over here somewhere. Unfortunately, a little dark. I suppose we can drive down to the lake. Actually, is that near? It's actually near Science Station Gumdrop. We could drive over there pretty safely, I think. Especially on the flats, because they are flat. So I just need to make sure the ship's oriented properly for our fucking suicide burn this time. Alright, we're a lot further away from Science Station Gumdrop than I thought. Wait. Am I going the other way? I am. I'm spinning around the completely other direction. So I changed my mind. We're going to raise it a bunch at the App-Waps and then come back down. Why the fuck is my App-Waps up so high? I was just burning prograde. I do not trust this probe core. I do not trust this probe core at all. We're also about to lose our electric charge, which I don't like. Yeah, what the hell is this ship doing? I'm just burning prograde at... Why are you spinning weird? Alright, I guess we're going down like this. I can't waste any fuel trying to fix this. My fuel core is not aligned with my engine. That's terrible news. So would I just control it from the engine then instead? Can't control it from the engine. Uh-oh. We're gonna have to fucking land this with our eyeballs if that's the case. Okay, I have to extend this because we lost our battery. It's actually a very bad time to have no battery. Shit! The hell? That's not hold at all. There's some shit down there to scan if I can get there in one piece. Oh my god. Now my speed's going up again. Q and E are fucking this alignment. That's weird. And the thrusters are also not aligned properly. Oh boy. Yeah, my fucking ass, that's retrograde. So this landing was a disaster because of the problem with the probe core alignment. So let's say 225 degrees is a proper landing. Okay. We're probably going to tip over here, but come on down. Okay. Quick save that. Now we just got to get this thing off. Wheels out. Decouple the node. Don't you fucking... Look at that torque when we're in space. All right. So I just realized the problem might be is just the force of us moving might send us off into fucking space. Disable the steering on this and this. And our destination is... Holy fuck, that's a bit of a drive. Minmus is quite small, but that's still a bit of a drive.